Welcome to Mr. Marr History. In today's episode, we're looking at the Advanced Higher History course, and we're discussing source questions, specifically the How Fully question. How Fully questions are worth 12 marks, and you may wish to answer them in the same way that you would have attempted a National 5 or higher How Fully question. You start off by gaining up to 3 marks for identifying relevant facts from the source. This is simply when you write out the quote and then explain exactly why it's relevant to the question. You can gain up to 7 marks for giving information from your own knowledge which isn't included in the source, but obviously helps you answer the specific question. And finally, you can get up to 2 marks for explaining what historians believe about this issue. It's important that you try and give information about all 3 points if you want to gain the maximum marks. As has been noted, this is very similar to a National 5 or higher question, and you may wish to answer it in the exact same way, using the aid format. Remember, you start off with the answer, which is when you say something which acknowledges that the source gives some information about the topic, but is missing some important facts. You then go on to discuss the information that is included in the source, again, explaining exactly why it's relevant to the question. And finally, you talk about what it doesn't include, which in this case is your own knowledge, but also the views of historians. This is where we get our 12 marks. Remember, when you quote from sources, this is the best way to go about it. It's important that you explain exactly why the quote is relevant to the question. The quote on its own is not enough. One way to do this, give the relevant quote, then show what it proves in terms of the question. For instance, source A says, and give the quote, which shows that, and then link your explanation back to the exact question which is being asked. Let's look at an example question from the Germany topic. In this case, the source asks us how fully the source explains the reasons for Stresemann's policy of fulfillment. We have 12 marks available, and we want to get as many of those marks as we can. We start off in the first place by giving the A from aid our answer. We simply acknowledge that the source partly explains reasons for the policy, but includes some key facts. We then go on to give information from the sources. We can gain up to 3 marks for this, and again it's important that we explain why it's relevant. Here you can see where we found our information and found our quotes, but remember, the quote on its own will not be enough. We need to specifically then explain what this proves about the question. We then go on to the D of aid, where we talk about what the source doesn't include, and we can gain up to 7 marks for this. We then want to give as much information as we can from our own knowledge, which specifically answers the question, including potentially giving wider context to some facts from the sources. Finally, we can get up to 2 marks for giving the views of historians which relate to this topic. Let's look at the answer in summary. We have 12 marks available for our How Fully question. We start off very simply with our answer when we actually answer the question. We then go on to talk about what the source actually says and why it's relevant to the question. We can gain up to 3 marks for this. We talk about reasons or facts which are not in the source but help answer the question, and we can get up to 7 marks for this. And finally, we talk about historiography, giving at least 2 views from historians about what they believe in terms of the question. Advanced Higher History, how to answer source questions, specifically the How Fully question. It's really that simple.